One of my favorite narratives is when a traditional story takes on some darker elements to evoke even more complicated emotions. Typically, in the pages of the Amazing Spider Man comic book, we see these stories fueled by the alien Venom symbiote wreaking havoc across Spider Man. However, in the pages of Spider Man's recent crossover, Dark Web, Venom is still one of the main adversaries of the story, but not the key antagonist. And that's where the Amazing Spider-Man's Dark Web event has a much different directive and focus than the average comic book events. As a clone of Spider-Man, Ben Reilly, and a clone of the X-Men's Marvel Girl, Madeline Pryor, have both essentially teamed up to wreak havoc across Spider-Man and the X-Men. My name is Arako Braddock, and today we're going to go ahead and dive deep into the Amazing Spider-Man 15 to get our first official taste of Marvel's Dark Web events. But before we get started, I wanted to go ahead and encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that like button if you enjoy our content. So without further ado here, I want to go ahead and introduce the wonderful creative team behind the Amazing Spider-Man 15. This issue was written by Zeb Wells. It was penciled by Ed McGuinness. We have inks from Cliff Rathburn, colors from Marcio Menyz, and letters from VC's Joe Caramagna. I'm going to show you the cover very shortly here. It was illustrated by John Romita Jr., Scott Hanna, and Marcio Menyz. Next up, I want to read you the solicitation. Usually the solicitations give you enough context to read the event, but this one is only one sentence. Spider-Man vs. Venom. Nuff said. What is Chasm's plan and why is Venom helping him? So I want to recap a little bit about what has happened in Marvel's Dark Web saga so far. Essentially, Ben Reilly, the clone of Spider-Man, has teamed up with Madeline Pryor, and the duo have been waiting to kind of stage their assaults using the pocket dimension of Limbo. Now the duo are finally ready, and they even brought aboard Venom to help them on the crusade to just make Peter Parker and Spider-Man's life a living hell, along with various members of the X-Men. And this Amazing Spider-Man 15 is the big issue where we finally get a confrontation between Spider-Man and Ben Reilly, now known as Chasm, which has been brewing for an incredibly long time. But before we get deeper into the video, I want to go ahead and show you this gorgeous cover over from John Romita Jr., Marcio Menyz, and Scott Hanna. And I really like these covers for the Amazing Spider-Man event because they all have like the same sort of cover theme. So the issues are going to look really good in terms of Dark Web when you have them all next to each other. And I like the framing of this page as well. Just the way that John Romita Jr. has drawn these two characters kind of locked in this epic battle definitely looks really solid here. This issue is actually drawn by Ed McGuinness. And Ed McGuinness is a wonderful artist for the Amazing Spider-Man series. I love McGuinness's like really slick interpretation of Limbo and like the original, Inferno crossover, because he's just a much different artist, than previous people who have worked on, Limbo, and just makes the aesthetics of Limbo look a little bit different, but still kind of beautiful in their own right. And also the way Ed McGuinness draws Venom with kind of this bulky, crazy anatomy is just gorgeous. I love that this issue, which is in the middle of a crossover and has so much work to do, is able to have such slick and arresting art. When we get deeper into the issue and get into more of the confrontation between Ben Reilly and Peter Parker, I love the way that a lot of these sequences are framed. Characters look kind of so stoic and so epic across all of these different pages. And I want to switch things up and talk about some of the writing a little bit. This issue was incredibly cathartic for me because I've been waiting for Ben Reilly's big confrontation with Peter for a really long time. I love how this Dark Web event takes in so many elements from the main Amazing Spider-Man series, whether it be, Norman Osborn and the Gold Goblin that we're looking at right now, or the close relationship between kind of Ben Reilly and Madeline Pryor at this point, and even kind of the inclusion of Hallows' Eve, which I'm still waiting for to get a little bit deeper into the event. One of the cool things about this issue is how it references even more plot threads from Wells' Amazing Spider-Man that he likely intends to flesh out in future issues. I'm talking about the inclusion of Miss Marvel and J. Jonah Jameson, who have all kind of played like bit parts or kind of cameos in previous issues and are now expanded on a little bit and given a little bit more context here. Even though Zeb Wells is working on establishing all the parts of this crossover, I just love the fact that there are so many elements throughout this issue that are finally kind of coming to a boil here. Peter Parker has a confrontation with nearly each major player in this crossover in the issue. We see Peter Parker interact, directly with Ben Reilly, Madeline Pryor, and Eddie Brock as Venom. So I'm really happy to see that the pacing on this crossover is very fast, very quick, and efficient. I think that the writing was perfectly tailored for the script and really enjoyed just kind of getting the first elements of the events. Also, when Peter has kind of that interaction with Ben, I really enjoyed how Peter sort of has like a disbelief and still is under the belief that Ben Reilly is a good guy. I know a lot of people have a lot of issues with this Amazing Spider-Man crossover, or with kind of Zeb Wells' Spider-Man in general, because the title has made Ben Reilly into a villain, at least for the time being. But I think that this issue does a wonderful job making it so you're actually invested in the character and the relationships between the two of them in this story. And also the way that Spider-Man is sort of in disbelief about the horror that Ben Reilly has done, after he was working alongside him in various capacity through the Beyond era, is the sort of emotional depth that I am looking for in a Spider-Man title. So I had an absolute blast with the Amazing Spider-Man number 15. I think this series is on the right track and accomplished so much in only the first chapter of the title. I love the fact that we're so invested in this story thanks to previous issues of The Amazing Spider-Man and that Dark Web issue, really kind of fleshing out the relationship between Ben and Madeline in order to draw you much deeper into the story than you would have been otherwise. I think a lot of these events oftentimes have really good ideas, but they're missing some elements of the execution in order to really kind of capitalize on all the potential that an event has to offer. But I'm happy to say here that Zeb Wells and Ed McGuinness were able to kind of tap into what the true nature of events are able to bring out, and are really able to kind of find the emotional depth between Peter and Ben to make this event interesting. So I want to know from you guys, did you enjoy The Amazing Spider-Man 15? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and we'll be back very soon for more excellent comic book content. We'll see you soon. Bye.